Happy Mother's Day! My name is Noemie
And I'm Sharnikya Howard.
and we are sister friends.
Yes,
And
indeed.
and we are sharing a little bit about us through this Happy Mother's Day podcast.
We're sharing a lot. It's for the mothers, the aunties, the godmoms, the ones that have a tribe, that are looking for a tribe, that are open to new experiences, that are
anxious and curious about life.
Yeah, it's for you.
Yep. But we also want you to share your perspective on what we're talking about. So we welcome you along this ride. Happy Mother's Day!
So how much do you all think like your relationships with your fathers impact or influence the relationship that your children, or how you support it or nurture it? Like for me, I did not grow up with my father, and the way I understand, my mom never said anything bad about him. She just didn't talk about him at all, and which I respect, right? There was never anything negative said. It would have been nice to at least know the man, something, but
Something about him.
yeah, something, right? But whatever. And so I grew up without a father, and but because of who I later learned, like as I got older and I learned more about like who he was and some of the flaws and things like that, I felt like, well, it was probably best that wasn't the person that was in that position for me. And so I just became like overwhelmed with like gratitude, to be honest, that in some ways I feel like I was spared from this figure. And so a part of me, I think, has peace with what I see with my daughter, because I'm like, well, if God allows it, it's for her good. But at the same time, I don't want to do anything to keep it from
Yeah.
So how do you all look at like your relationship with your dad and how it influences, whatever in your home or co-parenting with your kids?
So my dad, I don't ever remember living with my dad. My parents were married when they had me. But I remember being moved back home at I was a few months old with my grandparents. So I remember my dad at like larger things, like graduation. Not every birthday, but maybe a bake birthday, he might have been there, because he lived in Jamaica and we were in St. Croix. So what I remember my mom always being like, he can come if he wants to. I remember there were like 2 instances in my life she sent me to Jamaica for a period of time, because I think she felt like it was important for me to always like know that side of the family. And I take on that very same thinking. Like I took Mace to Atlanta to spend time with his grandmother. Like there was a funeral this past Christmas. I was like, it's fine, it's not my Christmas. We go into California. So, but I think the thinking was always the same. You can be as involved as you want to be.
Absolutely.
I will never stop you, schedule or not. If there was something he really wanted to take Mace to and it was my day, he could take him. So I think my dad didn't take advantage of the access he had to me, but Mace's dad takes full advantage of the access he has to Mason. And it's cool. Like, great, take him, you know? So I think the thinking was very similar. Because clearly I am Patsy. Patsy is me. We are the same person. So I see that.
I love your mom.
I feel that too. Like, it's so important for my daughter. Her father's African. And his mom, she lives in Africa. And that when that woman comes home, I'm listen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me that you haven't seen him in a year. You're going to see her.
Yeah.
And so that part is really important to me too.
Yeah.
So I grew up with, my dad was heavily involved in the house. I am a daddy's girl through and through. I love my daddy. My daddy could be right outside. I'm dropping everything and I'm going to go see my daddy. And I don't know that really, it's funny. I didn't really envision what life would look like with, I don't know. I knew I always wanted kids, but I couldn't see what it looked like, to be in a relationship and to have a child with somebody and what that relationship would look like. But I don't know what our relationship would look like, but I knew that I wanted someone who would have a relationship with our kids the way that my dad had with me. My parents are divorced, and I talk about this a lot, but you know, I didn't really, my parents did a really good job at not putting me in the middle of their marriage and even in their marital issues. When they got divorced, it was still, and I'm an only child. Well, I was raised an only child. It was still very much me, my mom, my dad. We make all the decisions together, and they were both very heavily involved in kind of everything. Well, I guess it is very similar to Kier. It's just one of those things that I don't think I ever really think about. But I am so happy that I do feel like Kier is very much like my dad in the way that he interacts with the girls. And I am a full, like, pushing them into him, really encouraging this kind of relationship, because that's all I know growing up. And I really attribute, like, as much as I love my mom, I always say that I attribute a lot of my confidence and a lot of my personality to my relationship with my dad. So, like, the daddy-daughter dates, please go out and take her on it. It's been too long. You need to take them out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to take them out individually. But I think what makes it difficult is my husband didn't grow up with his father. So I feel like in a way I was pushing something that he had never seen before. And, you know, maybe I was overstepping. I will admit that. I think I was kind of pushing it a little bit too hard in the beginning, but I'm not mad that I did it. Because looking at them now, just look at our brand, look at Karen, Emery, you know, all the time, like, just the kind of relationship that they have. I think that I definitely did my part in pushing that, and like I said, I don't regret it. But I didn't really see the correlation until now. Like, as I'm thinking, it's not something that I think about often. It's something that's so, like, core to my reality that it's hard for me to separate myself from it. And it wasn't until, like, even now, just thinking, seeing my oldest is 6 as well. We have a baby. Sydney is a little crazy.
My boo.
And they haven't, you know, Sydney's still new. So the things that Emery and Kier have been doing, they've been doing for literally 6 years. So I'm starting to see the daddy-daughter relationship flourish with Sydney, but with E, it's just so evident. It's like looking at a mirror. You know what I mean? The way that she lights up when it's just time for them to. And I'm like, even though I didn't really know what it would look like, I'm really happy that it is like that. You know what I mean? Like, I hear the stories, and we talk about, you know, our relationships with our dads. And it's just like, if I can be someone to really push that relationship and to push that to happen, I'm going to do it. I'll apologize later, but I'm going to do it.
No, I think that's so interesting because, like, subconsciously, our parenting styles are emulating those of our parents, which, I'm a guess and assume that our children's parenting styles will mirror ours. And I think the three of us have been very intentional, or we at least try to be, about how we raise them because of how we think they're going to treat others. And then thereby raise their children. And I guess my question to you ladies is, like, what is the thing about your parenting style that you hope that your children will sort of hold on to and emulate with their children? Like, what's the thing? I mean, I hope mine don't end up in the therapy.
well, wait.
Right.
That's a whole nother thing.
Right. But, like,
they
what
will.
is that thing about
they will, and that's not a bad thing.
You're right. As soon as I said it, I said it. But what is that thing about your parenting style that subconsciously or consciously do you want your kids to hold on to?
So, but I want to, like, you said something and then you tapped on it. Like, you said that you pushed, right? And I remember, because now I'm thinking, like, oh, you know, and it's not the first time I've had this thought, but you brought it up. And so it's at the front of mind. Initially, I felt like I was kind of pushing, but we weren't together. But I was just pushing, like, hey, you know, we're gonna be at this farm, or, you know, she's available this, you know, whatever. And after a while, I was just like, I can't want it more than you, and I'm overstepping here. Like, if anything, and then I think it has a lot to do with, you know, my experience and the way that I've grown from it. It's like, if you bring something into this world and you can separate from it for any reason, then maybe that's what's best. You know what I mean? Like, if for any reason you can just not check in or not, you know, not be present. But then that makes me wonder, like, well, was I supposed to keep pushing?
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
No, I think that it's a two-way street. You know what I mean? I think the pushing or the, giving them the room to kind of come in, it's that's the first step. You can't do it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like in our cases, in Mick and I's case, we kind of put it out there. In my case, I pushed, but it's like you didn't have to continue. You know what I mean? And I think they need to be receptive to that conversation. If they're receptive and they're willing to put in the work, then that's where it becomes like more of a team kind of situation. But and I feel like a lot of women might be in your situation where they're like, maybe I could have done more, maybe I could have said more, but you did.
Yeah.
You can't do everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think once you do that, now you're compromising your peace.
And
I know you're not, and I don't think we should.
We should.
Won't.
And won't.
And won't. Okay, definite period statement.
Full stop. But okay, no, thank you for that. Friend.
Yeah, of course. There was a question. What was the question?
Mixed.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, what is that thing about your parenting approach or your style or your principles, whatever it is? Like, what is that thing that like you hope that sort of translates from generation to generation?
I have something in mind. So, like my thing is emotional intelligence, and I'll go into it in a second. My parents were very big on, I don't know if like mental health was a thing, but I was a very sensitive child, a very emotional, I just had very big reactions, good, bad, scary, everything. And I think that I'm a first generation American, them being raised in a Haitian, household and just with traditions, it wasn't really like a place where children had the opportunity to say how they feel. And what was it? Children should be seen and not heard. They were raised that way. And I think both of my parents have dealt with a form of like emotional abuse due to that, mentality. And they really didn't want me to deal with that. So they really encouraged me talking about my feelings. Like, you're allowed to disagree, but you're not allowed to be disrespectful. You know what I mean? You're allowed to have a variety of opinions, but, mommy and daddy are still going to be the ones to make the final decisions. And like, very much like we're a team, and I think a lot of people were questioning the way that we raise Emery, because she also has a say in a lot of the decisions that we make. One of the examples is her school. We go back and forth about paying all this money for private school, driving 15 million hours, and I'll sit there and be like, okay, baby, do you want to change schools? And we would look at other schools. We would look on the websites. We would drive around, the neighborhoods. But like, she'd be like, well, I don't like this playground. I think I like my playground better. Granted, she's not going to be the one to decide.
I know. But she's giving her that power.
Right. And I think growing up feeling, especially as a little Black girl, knowing that like your voice is heard in one of the most, the closest environments that you have in your household really just built up a certain level of confidence in me that I'm starting to see, in Emery. And I'm like, I'm hoping that when she's my age, she can recognize that's what was happening. Yeah. Because when I was younger, I'd be like, you guys tell me I have the right to make a decision, but you never let me make my decisions. Like as a kid, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're lying. But they were setting me up for adulthood, you know what I mean? Because that's just real life. So I'm able to see that now, and I know it's going to frustrate her a lot, but I hope that when she gets older, she understands that like your voice was always important. You know what I mean? Your opinions always mattered. We're guiding you. Of course, we're not going to let you do anything dangerous or crazy, but like your feelings, opinions, thoughts all matter. And I really hope that she understands that we're doing that even when she's 16 and she hates us.
Because it's coming.
It's coming next year. What you mean 16-6?
The blood of Jesus.
Right.
For me, so all of that, plus, but kindness. I'm really big on kindness.
Same.
And I remember when she was christened and we all had to go on stage. And before the ceremony at Zion, that's my church, they did a video. Like they recorded each of the families. And so I did my video and I was just praying that she would lead with kindness and that would just be a part of who she is. And it has manifested. Like she is the most kind human I have ever met. And I love, yes, I mean, just such a good soul about her. And so I hope that she continues to lead with that, but also to like trust herself. And so I allow her that, I am not gonna leave her anywhere crying, or she's not gonna go somewhere because and be uncomfortable, or she's not hugging people that she's not comfortable with. When she is reticent or even hesitant about hugging someone, I want her to trust that even now. And so I would say kindness, and then like trusting herself, her gut, her intuition, because that supports that confidence, long term to me. What about you, Mick?
All of the things. It's like when I was gonna say that, then she said it. Then and I'm gonna be like, dang.
That's right, because you don't play about mean girl, mean boy. Like,
I am so hypersensitive.
Yeah.
To Mace being a good person. He does not have to be the smartest man out here. He does not have to be the wealthiest man out here. But he got to be a good man.
Listen, what she says is he ain't gonna be no
F-boy.
No, he's not.
I have the biggest fear of raising an F-boy. And I am like...
because they're kind of prevalent.
Yeah.
No.
And they're cool.
They're cool.
Yeah.
But that's how men are like, talked about in society. Like, that's how they're pushed. And hopefully this generation... I really think this generation is different.
Praying.
I do. I believe that
I will
it's
say
different.
that this generation, my situation is different, but this generation of fathers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
They don't play about these kids.
No, and they hold each other
These
accountable.
And the Godfathers.
Outside of us.
Fathers, the Godfather.
These black men do not play
Queenie
about their
calls
kids.
Kier Uncle Daddy.
You can't tell nobody
Okay.
that Queenie is not Kier's baby.
Okay.
They are not biologically related. That
and
is
the same
not
with her godfather.
Yeah, and the same thing with Mace.
Yeah, Mace
don't even acknowledge me in the house. He goes straight to his
But Mace don't play about them girls.
No,
Like,
he does not.
I am so big on, like, of course his daddy is, going to be the dad and the man in his life and the man he emulates. But mommy does not play about him being kind to other friends. I say, even if you don't like somebody, mama needs you to say good morning.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, be respectful. If you see somebody in need, mama needs you to try your best to help if you can. I just cannot.
No, you've said that.
I would be a failure
from the beginning
in my life.
And he knows that.
Yeah.
He knows that.
But he's,
he
I just want him to hold on to that. I want him to
yeah.
hold on, because it's like the persons they are now, it's like, dang, what are they about to be?
Yeah.
Like the things, because I think people are just like, oh, you raised such a good whatever, but then they are naturally who they are.
Yeah.
They will naturally be who they naturally are supposed to be. So I think I just have this fear of like, who is he going to become, right? Like I see who he is right now, but like don't get to acting.
We will correct.
And it's like I never want to like break his confidence either, but like there's this weird balance of like humility in his confidence, right? And it's like he's playing sports now, and he's been playing this Pee Wee T-ball for like, this is like our 4th season, and it's a joke. There's no real coaches. It's a joke, but he's now the older kid on the team, and so like when folks make mistakes, he's like ha ha, and I'm like, cut it out. That's not how we play. I don't care if it's a joke. That's the kind of stuff I don't play about.
Yeah.
He want to go jump off a bridge? Go.
Not a bridge. You mean the
not a bridge.
monkey bar?
Monkey bar.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he wants to go dive, be adventurous in a ball pit or a play place. I will never stop him from that. But the minute I hear any sort of tone of like teasing or bullying or just
No, she shuts it down.
But what we do really resonates with our kids. Our kids be knowing.
Oh, they know.
And Mace be knowing. He'll
to.
say it, and all he hears is mom in the background, and he knows what happened.
Yep.
And I think that we can't always monitor what our babies do, but we know when a lesson hits. Yeah. We know when they know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we know when they know they messed up. And they know it.
Yeah.
They know it.
And also being able to like, okay, you messed up.
You
like,
get to mess up.
You get to mess up.
And then you get to be forgiven. Yeah. It's not like you said ha or something happened and now mommy's mad at you and it's done. Yeah. It's like, we're going to correct it. All right, how are we going to do better next time? Yeah. And I think all 3 of us really do a good job at that. And I think that's something that's pretty new to our generation, is like, people talk about gentle parenting and, everybody has their opinions about it, but it really just comes down to, how are we able to separate our stuff from the stuff that our kids are going through? Absolutely. How are we really able to approach them? How are we able to establish those boundaries where there's trust, but there's also like, I know I can't do this. I know that I'm
Yeah.
expected better of this. And I think all three of us are doing it. Not doing our best. I think we're doing it.
We're doing very well.
Our
We're doing
babies
our
are
best.
6 and are doing very well. You know,
Listen.
it's little humans. You
They are
know?
little humans. They are
And they're
little
just
humans.
the sweetest kids. They have the most amazing friendship. And
The best village.
oh my gosh,
mean,
the
the
best.
best.
Village. And like you said, like I know that you talked about like you wanted your mom to be your co-parent. I think we are co-parents in a
Who do I
sense.
refer to as my co-parents?
Yeah.
The
yeah.
village.
The village is your
Us.
co-parents. Yeah. And
The
the
village.
larger
I
your
think
village,
that's
the more
okay.
co-parenting. I mean, because honestly, I mean, it's not just about like pick up and drop off, right? It's about an emergency,
Decisions,
Yeah.
emergencies.
being able to bounce off like your perspectives about school and your experiences about
Yeah.
school. And I'm grateful that you've had different experiences so that I can make, you know, decisions in the best interest of our children. Like that's the point,
Yeah.
right? To be around, yes, like-minded folks, but also folks that have varying experiences.
Yeah,
Because if we're all doing the same thing, well, then
exactly. How we learning? How we growing?
ain't nobody
Yeah.
learning. You know what I mean? But I look up to both of you for different things, and I'm so grateful
Likewise.
Girl,
for.
yes. Like
I'm so grateful for that because
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have that. For the folks really operating in like a silo by themselves, God bless you. Because I don't know how you're doing it.
yeah,
For sure.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you're doing it.
yeah. And I think
No, go ahead.
just going back to the village, I think that we just need to expand what that means. And I think like a lot of us grew up where our village were, you know, our mom and our aunties and, you know, the people that are traditionally in a sense that we call family, but you and I aren't from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
don't have
not,
family
I
here.
don't have not one family within a less than 3-hour drive, less than 4-hour drive of here.
It's a flight.
So it's a flight. It's
a
a
flight.
flight or a very long car ride that I'm probably not going to do, you know? So I rely on you guys more than I rely on the people that I grew up with. And I think I'm finally in a place where it made me feel bad to say that because I felt like I was disrespecting, you know, my family. But the reality is my baby is 6 and she knows y'all.
Yeah.
She doesn't know, and not even know, she trusts y'all. I can drop I dropped, how old was Sydney when I dropped her off?
About 8 weeks.
No,
Close to 2
maybe
months.
let's say 2 months.
Yeah.
2-3 months. I dropped my baby off and I was like, here, like you had a baby before, you can figure it out. But I
Yes.
trust her. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Same thing
And
with
we'll
you.
do it.
Yeah.
I'm
You
going to
know
come
what I
get
mean?
eat. I'm going
Yes.
to take it to the late movie.
Right.
I'm going to ask her mama first.
Y'all You're gonna ask me
is
last.
the fun auntie.
Yeah.
She
Listen.
is.
Yeah.
And I know I couldn't do this without
I wouldn't
either
want
one
to
of
do
y'all.
this.
Yeah,
Me-
I wouldn't
yeah.
want
I don't
to
desire to do this
It's
by
been
myself.
so beautiful.
I don't desire that.
Yes, I don't desire to
Yeah.
do this without you. You guys are a huge reason why Sydney's here. Because I was like, y'all, can I do that? I'm gonna do this.
Drop her off.
First of all,
But-
she manifested it.
Listen.
But y'all have made
For that child, I prayed.
She did.
She did.
She did. And I was scared, y'all. I was really scared. I'm like, my marriage is not gonna survive. Like this isn't gonna work.
And
Like
look
we
at it.
barely making it. But like I could not and would not do this without y'all. So leave if you want to. I'm coming right.
Where you going?
behind you. Yeah,
Where you
going?
going?
You ain't going nowhere. I'm coming.
You're
Where we
crazy.
going?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
So, to bring it back to the parenting,
Yes.
Right, because the tangents have
Gang,
tangents.
gang.
Mick, what would you advice would you give to those in co-parenting situations, and what would you share?
Take yourself out of it. Like when you bring these children into don't lose yourself, but take yourself out of it if you really want to have a successful, semi-successful, semi-healthy co-parenting relationship. Similar to a marriage, there are going to be points of compromise and shared responsibilities. It's a lot of relinquishing control. When you have a co-parent, when he leaves my house, it's the blood of Jesus and his daddy. You know what I mean? And having to get comfortable in. I had to get comfortable in that in order not to like completely lose my peace and completely lose my like mental health. And I feel like that's sort of like the biggest advice I could give anyone else. Like you should always be operating in the best interest of your children. And if the co-parent is in a position, I know there's some co-parents where you literally cannot leave your children with them. It is not safe. I would never tell you to leave your children anywhere they're not safe. But, if y'all just disagreeing because the new boo or the come on, girl. Or come on, man. Take yourself out of that.
Both sides.
And operate in the best interest of your children as long. And, you have to, there's a certain level of trust in co-parenting relationships, just like there are in marriages, right? Where you just kind of have to learn, like, okay, I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna do this thing. And always it's team that child.
Yeah.
Before anything else, before your feelings, before your own selfish wishes, is team that kid. And as long as you team that kid, y'all gonna be fine.
I love it.
I got nothing to add. I mean, I will add something
married
small
couples.
for the married couples. I would say recognize that you have to compartmentalize. Like, when you're married, there is your relationship with your husband. Like, you're managing a lot of relationships. You're managing your relationship with your husband, your relationship with your kids. Your husband is managing his relationship with the kids, their relationship with you. It's just a lot of moving parts. And I think one thing that I struggle with is, I might take something that had to do with the kids out on our marriage because we disagreed. But like you said, when it's about the kids, you do have to take yourself out of it. It's very difficult.
Very hard.
Very, 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 very difficult.
It's the most challenging thing you'll do.
It is, but I will say that when I'm able to do that, we're able to move on and kind of come to a solution in a much more smoother, way. But yeah, I think you're spot on. It's just very hard. But
It's super hard.
I think you are spot on. I actually learned a lot about this that I'm going to take into account today and apologize.
I mean,
Last
sometimes that's what it takes, though.
Yes,
and I think that apology goes so far, even in a co-parenting relationship.
It sure does.
It goes so far because then the other person feels valued.
Yep.
And when people feel valued and respected and appreciated in the space that they're operating in, at the level they're operating in, they will do leaps and bounds because they just feel like, you see me.
Yeah.
You see me trying. You see me doing my best. All right, he didn't take a bath, but I brought you to school clothes.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you for bringing those school clothes. Thank you for finding that jersey.
Yes.
Thank you for going to pick up that glove for baseball because I don't know what he did with it. Thank you. They don't do it our way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do it their way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to always give him that.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something.
They're doing it. He's
They're
doing it.
doing it.
Like,
And they
he's
want
doing
to.
it. And he
They
wants
because
to.
they
Yeah.
want to.
And the
Their
more they feel
parents too.
appreciated,
Yeah.
then they feel like, because I mean, they get celebrated just for taking them to the park and doing, stuff. But I think it's so important to show them that appreciation when they're doing the things and to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
Let dads be dads.
Let
Yes.
Let the
their
dads
way.
that want to be dads be dads.
And do it their way.
Do it
You want them
their
to dad
way.
like you want, like your mama.
Yeah. Girl, you see why she wise counsel? You see why my marriage is intact? You see what my child
I'm
be
so
doing?
proud of myself for not cussing this episode.
For single parents, my advice would be to focus on what you get to do, to appreciate the people who are around your village that support you. If you don't have one, find one, and to just remain in as much as possible, because things do get tough and you are allowed to be human and to be angry, but as much as possible, remain in a state of gratitude so that resentment or whatever those other feelings that can come up don't interfere with the relationship that you have with your child or your children just because someone else has chosen to be non-existent. So that's my advice. Is just
My God.
focus.
I mean, that's for all of us.
Yeah.
To live in that gratitude.
Yeah.
Because the resentment can come in any
That's true.
any situation.
And I think for like society, and I you know what, I don't know all the things. So, but I feel like society tries to or paints a picture that like single motherhood is much more difficult, and I don't think it has to be. I think either situation comes with its challenges and there's great wins either way, and it's just a matter of perspective and just staying in it and staying focused on your child, your child, whether the other parent that helped create them is a part of that or if it's a village. Just stay focused on what's best for your child, and that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And that note, Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
I love Happy Mother's Day.